Hello everyone, my name is Lisa Freelander and this is my presentation on schizophrenia. What is schizophrenia in general? Schizophrenia is a mental disorder that is very serious and can affect a person's life on a daily basis. It comes with a combination of hallucinations, delusions, um, the inability to keep track of their emotions, feel things. Um, with this, it does require a lifelong treatment as there is no way to prevent the certain disorder from happening. Types of schizophrenia. So the types of schizophrenia include paranoid schizophrenia, catatonic schizophrenia, undifferentiated schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder. First one is something that makes them behave oddly, have appropriate responses to things. They may believe that someone's following them, so certain federal governments are watching them. The second one is that the certain person with this one, for catatonic, they completely shut down or they're paralyzed the whole time. The third one has vague symptoms, but the symptoms that are mostly common with this certain schizophrenia is that they are constantly confused of where they're at. The fourth one includes, which is schizoaffective disorder. This one is basically has a combination of another mental illness such as anxiety or depression. So it can also be combined with it and create a mood disorder, and it also includes delusional thinking. Symptoms include delusions, hallucinations, speech impairment, disorganized motor behavior, and negative complications. So with that saying, delusions are basically they create false beliefs about things. Hallucination is basically they see things that aren't there. Speech impairment, meaning they may not be able to comprehend a certain question or speak in a way that normal people do in that sense. Negative complications, I know I skipped over one, it's which is disorganized motor behavior, is basically someone acts like a child when they're not a child, and that can really affect how they communicate with people in general. Negative complications is basically they don't have great hygiene or they stop doing something that maybe they have done in their past daily life before they were diagnosed with schizophrenia. Causes causes with schizophrenia come from genetics, which is you inherit it from one of the parents in the family that you were made as an offspring. Environment is basically they come from a household that may cause them to have a traumatic event or be triggered easily by something. Brain chemistry, there can be something wrong in your brain chemically that can cause a person to behave the way they do when they have schizophrenia. Substance use, that can be through alcohol and drugs, that they use drugs that may make their brain chemistry alter to the point where they may get diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it may cause them to maybe have the one of the complications of aggressive behavior. So with complications, like I just said, it does come with aggressive behavior, but that's a small amount of population who have this certain disorder have. The rest is pretty common: suicide, OCD, depression, social isolation, health problems, and homelessness. They all have their certain role within having schizophrenia, so it does affect someone who has it in a different way depending on the severity of their certain disorder of schizophrenia. With prevention strategies, now there is no way to prevent it, but with primary, they can do things to help keep the certain disorder of schizophrenia in line. They can identify the burden that maybe the person had for monitoring groups for the person who has schizophrenia, express any screening scale factors that may come with it, have psychological intervention to maybe detect this schizophrenia in the early treatment. to the fact where they can be able to help the person control their certain symptoms. Secondary prevention is basically creating a timely and adequate specialized assistance for the person who has schizophrenia. And the third, the tertiary prevention would basically create a treatment plan and keep a time to which the person can take their medication and keep their symptoms in line. So with schizophrenia, there is incidences. So basically there are new cases, but with these cases, males are more likely to get schizophrenia if they're from the ages of 20 to 29 based on these certain numbers. Females are less likely to get it, and it does seem like there is more for males in this sense. Prevalence meaning the current cases. So currently there is more people who are between the ages of 35 to 44 people in ages. They tend to get it more within that lifetime, a certain time period. The certain gender who mostly get this is male, as stated before. Distribution, this is basically any cases are, more in one region than the other. So based on different research, it is shown that people in low-income countries and third world countries, or are located in a country that they become low income, they are more likely to get this certain disorder. So yes. Trends right now, there is not a huge trend. It seems to be lower than anxiety or major depression in that sense. Disparities, there are more people who are male who certainly get this certain disorder. It seems to be more genetic towards males, and it is a huge burden to third world countries in general. Importance to public health. So with schizophrenia, there is a lot of discrimination within that certain disorder just because of how a person can act during their time with this. They lose housing, they may not have good employment because of how they act. There is a huge stigma against schizophrenia in general. Human rights are always have a violation because they think that schizophrenia is not something that should be normal or be treated. They do think education for them is not very important. So with that saying, many people throughout the past have had it. It's both. A lot of people can be famous. In a sense, majority of the people who are here on this slide, they are mostly, half of them mostly do have the aggravated behavior complication. With that saying, John Hinckley Jr. tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan during his presidency. Vincent van Gogh cut off his ear, which is pretty crazy. Ed Gein, he's basically the person who had given the idea for Norman Bates. Richard Chase is basically the vampire. He killed people and drank their blood. He's the vampire Sacramento. David Gonzalez, he basically killed people because he was inspired by the movie Nightmare on Elm Street, and he was inspired and had that bit schizophrenia that helped do that. David Berkowitz, which is basically the son of Sam, he shot people and said that the reason why he did what he did is because he believed that his neighbor dog actually wanted him to kill people. So it was very interesting finding out those stuff. With that saying, that is my presentation. I hope you guys liked it, and Thank you.